Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Let us continue the chapter, the fundamental unit of life. And in today's class, we will deal with the subtopic parts of a cell. If you remember, in the last class, we discussed that in the year 1665, Robert Hooke observed a cell. He was the first person to observe the cell. So when Robert Hooke observed the cells, he saw the very basic structure of a cell. He observed the cells under his self-made primitive microscope, and he could only observe cells in the form of honeycomb-like compartments. Those compartments were very, very small. So what was inside that compartments he could not study because his microscope was primitive and self-made. So after the development of compound microscope, it was possible to study the parts of a cell. So when the parts of a cell, or when a cell was observed under a microscope, it was seen that the cell has three major parts. So structurally, a cell is made up of three major parts. Okay, three major parts. Now what are those parts? The first part is known as the plasma membrane, or it is also known as the cell membrane. Okay, plasma membrane or cell membrane. Second is cytoplasm and its contents. And third was the nucleus. So these are the three major parts that is present inside the cell, and it was observed only after the development of a compound microscope. A compound microscope can magnify an object up to 2000 times. So सानो चीजलाई पनि 2000 times magnify गरेर ठुलो बनाउँछ. Magnify means ठुलो बनाउन. So जब त्यो compound microscope मा cell हेर्यो त्यति बेला चाहिँ they could observe the three parts of a cell. Now let us discuss about these parts in detail one by one. So first part kun chai rahecha? Plasma membrane, or it is also known as the cell membrane. So let us see what is plasma membrane. Okay. So plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Now, plasma membrane is extremely delicate, thin. Okay, it is extremely delicate, thin, elastic, selectively permeable or semi-permeable पनि भनिन्छ. Selectively permeable and living part of a cell. So cell membrane चाहिँ एकदमै delicate, thin हुन्छ, elastic पनि हुन्छ, flexible, and it is selectively permeable and living part of a cell. Okay. Now, secondly, it forms the outer living boundary of the cell. Boundary of the cell. भन्नुको मतलब चाहिँ के हो भन्दा चाहिँ it is a layer that separates the cell contents from the external environment. Okay, and the main function, plasma membrane को main function चाहिँ के हो भन्दा चाहिँ its main function is to selectively control the entry and exit of substances inside and outside the cell. So यसले के गर्दो रहेछ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ it is a substances like it allows substances to enter into the cell, and it also allows substances to go out of the cell, but while allowing it, it selectively allows select गरेर मात्रै certain substances लाई मात्रै enter पनि गर्न दिन्छ बाहिर निक्लिनु पनि दिन्छ त्यही कारणले यसलाई सेमी पर्मिएबल पनि भनिन्छ ओके यसको फंक्सन र when substances pass through the plasma membrane the substances pass using two methods any of the two methods diffusion and osmosis so substances pass across the plasma membrane by two processes that is diffusion and osmosis so let us understand what is diffusion and osmosis okay so diffusion we have already studied about diffusion in chemistry also in the first chapter Rapani let us revise that let us recapitulate what is meant by diffusion okay so let us understand what is diffusion okay definition of diffusion the process of intermixing of molecules of various substances due to random motion we've already studied in chemistry that any substance is made up of molecules and molecules are always in constant motion okay so due to this constant or random motion substances molecules of various substances they can intermix with one another on their own without doing anything so to understand the process of diffusion let us do a very simple activity okay now what I have done here is I've taken a glass and I've half filled it with water okay now in another glass what did I do I took again half water and then I dissolved this food color into this water to give the water red color okay you can use ink for this experiment also since I did not have ink I used this food color to give the water red color so what I'm doing is now I take that glass of water and then I will take this colored water and drop few drops into this water okay let us drop a few drops now you can see what is happening I am not doing anything I'm not dissolving this I'm not stirring it I'm just keeping it undisturbed and you can see that the red color is spreading into the water on its own afai af त्यो red color spread हुँदैछ पानीमा so if I keep this undisturbed for some time the entire water will become red in color so के हुँदैछ यहाँ this red color is getting diffused into water on its own and this process is known as diffusion आफै आफ मिक्स हुँदैछ नि मैले चलाएको छैन आफै आफ यो मिक्स हुँदैछ सो यसलाई चाहिँ हामी भन्छौं diffusion okay so in cells also diffusion takes place अब cells मा चाहिँ के diffuse हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ gases in cells okay gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide move in and out of the cell through the plasma membrane through the cell membrane or the plasma membrane by the process of diffusion so जब पनि कुनै ग्यास चाहे त्यो अक्सिजन होस् चाहे त्यो कार्बन डाइअक्साइड होस् जब एउटा सेल भित्र अथवा बाहिर निस्किँदैछ भने चाहिँ त्यो ग्यासेसहरु चाहिँ डिफ्युजनको प्रोसेसले निक्लिन्छ अब डिफ्युजनमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ in diffusion the molecules of a substance move spontaneously. Spontaneously means on its own. Afai move spontaneously from a region of its higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So के हुन्छ यहाँ moleculesहरु move हुन्छ तर कहाँदेखि कहाँ move गर्छ भन्दा चाहिँ region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, so the region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration भनेको के हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ gases, exchange of gases means inside any living organisms two gases get exchanged, right? That is carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, so कति बेला भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ during the process of respiration. So during respiration what happens? Carbon dioxide is given out. Okay, so during respiration carbon dioxide is given out. That carbon dioxide is a waste product. Okay, respiration bhaneko, I hope you remember respiration. In respiration breakdown of food takes place with the help of oxygen. So glucose ko breakdown huncha oxygen use garera, and then water, carbon dioxide, energy and certain amount of heat is also released. So during respiration carbon dioxide is given out as a waste product. Okay, respiration bhaisakepasi carbon dioxide niklincha, this is a waste product, and what happens, this carbon dioxide gets accumulated inside the cell. Accumulated bhaneko thuprinu thalcha, gets accumulated inside the cell. So suppose this is the cell, this is the external environment. Yo cell ho, yo cell ko bahira chai yo ho external environment. Okay, environment. So now inside the cell what is happening? Carbon dioxide thuprinu thalyo, pura besi carbon dioxide thupriyo. भित्र चाहिँ के भयो, कार्बन डाइअक्साइड को concentration is higher, है, whereas बाहिर external environment मा चाहिँ कार्बन डाइअक्साइड is lower, concentration of कार्बन डाइअक्साइड is lower. So भित्र higher छ, बाहिर lower छ. So अघि भनिहाल्यो diffusion मा के हुन्छ, higher concentration, region of higher concentration देखिको region of lower concentration मा कुनै पनि substance move गर्छ. Here the substance is carbon dioxide. So inside the cell the concentration of carbon dioxide is higher, outside the cell the concentration of carbon dioxide is lower. As a result carbon dioxide will move out of the cell like this. Okay, and it will be expelled. Okay, so gets accumulated inside the cell. This creates a region of higher concentration inside the cell, higher concentration inside the cell, while the concentration of carbon dioxide is low, comparatively low in the external environment. Okay, so external environment ma chai comparatively low cha. So as a result carbon dioxide will move out of the cell. Okay, so यसको पाराले चाहिँ कार्बन डाइअक्साइड सेल को बाहिर मुभ गर्छ, किनभने भित्र उसको हायर कन्सन्ट्रेसन भयो, बाहिर लो भयो सो हाई देखिको लोमा मुभ गर्छ त्यस्तै गरी सिमिलरली when the amount of oxygen decreases inside the cell कसरी डिक्रिज हुन्छ oxygen is used up for releasing energy so जति oxygen use भयो त्यसको amount or the concentration decreases inside the cell so when the amount of oxygen inside the cell decreases and the external environment contains more oxygen so the oxygen will move into the cell किनभने बाहिर higher concentration छ भित्र lower concentration छ र यसरी चाहिँ gases-हरु exchange of gases takes place through the process of diffusion okay now the next process that occurs in plasma membrane is osmosis osmosis मा पनि के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ substance move गर्छ into the cell or out of the cell here in case of osmosis यहाँ चाहिँ हामी we are dealing with water okay अघि diffusion मा चाहिँ gases को exchange occurs through diffusion भन्दै थियो osmosis मा चाहिँ here movement of water takes place okay so let us define osmosis the movement of water molecules okay water molecules through a selectively permeable membrane such as the plasma membrane from a region of higher water concentration to a region of lower water concentration okay from a region of higher water concentration to a region of lower water concentration so here water movement takes place यहाँ पनि त्यही हो diffusion जस्तै diffusion मा जसरी higher concentration देखिको lower concentration मा substances move गर्थ्यो osmosis मा पनि higher water concentration देखिको lower water concentration मा water move गर्छ okay water move गर्छ this is a special case of diffusion diffusion नै हो तर it is a special case of diffusion okay now when the water movements takes place in cells movement of water is affected by the amount of substances that is dissolved in water okay पानीमा कति सब्स्टेन्स डिजल्भ भएको छ कति अमाउन्ट अफ सब्स्टेन्स डिजल्भ भएको छ त्यसले पनि मुभमेन्ट अफ वाटरमा असर पार्छ सो लेट अस सी कसरी असर पार्दो रहेछ सो डिपेन्डिङ अपन द अमाउन्ट अफ concentration of solution concentration of solution osmosis takes place okay osmosis takes place now let us see कुन चाहिँ concentration मा कस्तो पाराले चाहिँ osmosis हुँदो रहेछ okay first if a cell is placed in hypotonic solution okay if a cell is placed in hypotonic solution or hypotonic solution is also known as dilute solution so के हुँदो रहेछ what happens to the cell if it is placed in hypotonic solution or dilute solution so hypotonic solution. First let us understand what is hypotonic solution or dilute solution. Now hypotonic solution means a solution in which the concentration of water is higher. Okay, concentration of water is higher and concentration of or the amount of dissolved substances is low. So कस्तोलाई चाहिँ हाइपोटोनिक सल्युसन भन्दो रहेछ, जसमा चाहिँ पानी चाहिँ बेसी हुन्छ, द लो डिसल्भ सब्स्टेन्सेस चाहिँ कम्ती हुन्छ, त्यस्तोलाई चाहिँ हाइपोटोनिक सल्युसन हुँदो रहेछ. सो व्हाट वी आर डुइङ, वी आर टेकिङ hypotonic solution in a beaker. Okay, यो चाहिँ hypotonic solution हो. This is hypotonic solution. Okay, and then we are putting a cell. हामीले यो भित्र एउटा cell हाल्यो. Okay, this is the cell. So after some time what happens, we have to observe. For that, what did I do? To see or to explain osmosis, मैले के गरे भन्दा I took some resins. अच्छा, this is यो चाहिँ रेजिन हो, नेपालीमा चाहिँ हामी यसलाई किसमिस भन्छौँ. Using this we can observe osmosis. So के गरे मैले भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले एउटा कपमा I took water in this plain water, यसमा केही पनि छैन. सो पानी लिए, सो पानी थियो, सो यो पानी चाहिँ मैले यहाँ हालेँ. ओके, पानी हालेर चाहिँ यो जुन चाहिँ रेजिन्स छ, यो रेजिन्स चाहिँ मैले यो भित्र ड्रप गर्दै यसरी. ओके, ड्रप गर्दै. सो आफ्टर इट टेक्स टाइम, यो हुनु चाहिँ यो बनिनु चाहिँ यो एक्टिभिटी गर्नु चाहिँ टाइम लाग्छ. मैले चाहिँ यो बिहानै उठेर यो के गरेको थिएँ, हालेको थिएँ यो भित्र, रेजिन्स चाहिँ ड्रप गरेको थिएँ. जस्ट आई टुक प्लेन वाटर एन्ड इन्टु दिस आई ड्रप्ड resins. Now your plain water means this is hypotonic solution or dilute solution, because here I haven't added any substance into this. So यसमा water concentration चाहिँ के छ, high छ, dissolved substances चाहिँ यसमा low छ. Okay, so यो पानी चाहिँ मैले लिएर चाहिँ यसमा चाहिँ resins हालेँ, अनि त्यहाँदेखि resins हालेर I kept it undisturbed for some time. And after some time मैले के देखेँ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ, if I'll show you. After some time, after 1 or 2 hours, look at the resin. यो चाहिँ previous, अगाडि चाहिँ यस्तो हुन्छ resin, पछाडि चाहिँ यस्तो छ. So observe it carefully. देख्नुभयो? So यहाँनिर do you observe any difference in between the two resins? के difference देख्नुभयो? Yes, the resins was firstमा चाहिँ it was small in size, but when I placed it in hypotonic solution, it swelled up and became larger in size. How did this happen? कसरी भयो होला भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ के भयो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ जब हामीले त्यो हाइपोटोनिक सल्युसनमा सेल हाल्यो अथवा यहाँ यो केसमा चाहिँ रेजिन्स हाल्यो. Now what will happen? Here the concentration of water is high. Okay, in this solution concentration of water is high. Inside the cell, the concentration of water is low. Water is low. So, in osmosis, what happens? Water moves from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So, यहाँ चाहिँ बाहिर high छ water concentration, भित्र low छ, so बाहिरबाट चाहिँ भित्र जान्छ. सबै पानी भित्र छिर्नु थाल्छ, and as a result, the cell swells up. Cell swells up and increases in volume. So increases in volume. यो चाहिँ ठुलो हुन्छ. Okay, so this process is known as endoosmosis. This process is known as endoosmosis. Okay, endoosmosis. Okay, endo भित्र पस्दैछ नि त पानी. Okay, so that is endoosmosis. Okay, I hope it is clear. So when we place a cell in hypertonic solution, the cell will swell up and increase in volume because water enters into the cell. Alright. Now, next is when we place the cell in isotonic solution. Isotonic solution भनेको चाहिँ कस्तो सल्युसन हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ सेलको भित्रको वाटर कन्सन्ट्रेसन र त्यो सल्युसनको वाटर कन्सन्ट्रेसन इज द सेम. ओके, सो isotonic solution मा if the cell is placed in isotonic solution, so again beaker, inside the beaker the solution taken is isotonic. Okay, isotonic solution, and into this we are dropping a cell. Okay, it's a cell. So after some time when we observe, nothing happens to the size of the cell. That means there is no change in the size of the cell. In the size of a cell, in this isotonic solution. Can you tell me why? मैले के भनिहाले isotonic भनेको चाहिँ यो बाहिरको कन्सन्ट्रेसन र भित्रको सेल भित्रको कन्सन्ट्रेसन इज इक्वल हो. इक्वल भएपछि there will be no overall movement of water and then the cell will not change in size. Okay, now the third type of solution is hypertonic solution, or it is also known as concentrated solution. Okay, hypertonic solution or concentrated solution. It is just opposite of hypotonic solution or dilute solution. So opposite भनेपछि यहाँनिर के हुन्छ, the concentration of water will be low. Okay, low water concentration, and the concentration of dissolved substances will be higher. Okay, dissolved substances is higher. Okay, so what happens when we place cell in such solution? Again, we'll take a beaker, we'll put in hypertonic solution. This time is hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution means the water concentration is low. Okay, concentration is low, and into this we'll add or we'll drop in the cells. Now this cell has higher water concentration inside it. High water concentration. अब के हुन्छ होला भन्नु सक्नुहुन्छ? जब हामीले सेललाई यसरी हाइपरटोनिक सल्युसनमा राख्यो, बाहिर चाहिँ वाटर कन्सन्ट्रेसन यसको चाहिँ लो छ, यसको चाहिँ हाई छ भने, can you tell me what will happen to the cell? The cell will shrink and reduce in volume. कसरी shrink and reduce in volume? Because यहाँ बाहिरको चाहिँ concentration low छ, भित्रको चाहिँ high छ, so water will move from high to low. So बाहिरबाट भित्र सबै के गर्छ, भित्रबाट बाहिर चाहिँ सबै पानी चाहिँ निस्किन्छ. पानी निस्केपछि चाहिँ सेल चाहिँ shrink भएर जान्छ. Okay, so मैले के गरे भन्दाखेरि similarly के गरे, I took a cup of water. यो cup of water मा चाहिँ मैले I added 1 tablespoon of salt. Salt हालेर मैले पानीमा salt फिटे. त्यहाँदेखिको अघि यो swell भएको resins जुन चाहिँ थियो, त्यो एउटा resin चाहिँ मैले यहाँ drop गरे. Okay, now if you look at that cell resins, both the resins, एउटा swell भएको resins देखाउँछु जो चाहिँ हाइपोटोनिक सल्युसनमा थियो र यो चाहिँ हाइपरटोनिक सल्युसनमा भएको. हेर्नुस् त, if you look at this two, हेर्नुस् त यो shrink भएको छ नि है, shrink भएको छ. किन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ यसको चाहिँ कन्सन्ट्रेसन, वाटर कन्सन्ट्रेसन लो भएको कारणले गर्दा त्यो सेलबाट चाहिँ सबै पानी चाहिँ इन्टु द सल्युसन गएको. रेजिन चाहिँ सेल, यो चाहिँ सल्युसन. सो सेलबाट चाहिँ सबै बाहिर जान्छ and then it will reduce in volume. Okay, so this is how movement of water takes place. र यो प्रोसेसलाई चाहिँ this is called or this is known as exoosmosis. Water is moving out of the cell, so यसलाई चाहिँ के भन्दो रहेछ exoosmosis. भित्र पस्यो भने चाहिँ endoosmosis, बाहिर निस्क्यो भने चाहिँ exoosmosis. Okay, now let us study about the functions of plasma membrane. So यसरी चाहिँ movement हुन्छ substances in and out of the plasma membrane. अब हेरौँ functions. What is the function? What are the functions of plasma membrane? Okay, functions of plasma membrane. First function, again main function is to selectively control the entry and exit of substances into the cell. Okay, selectively control garcha. Orgo separates the cell from the external environment. External environment र cell contents को बीच मा चाहिँ यसले के गर्छ, त्यसले चाहिँ separate गर्छ किनभने it is the layer that is present outside the cell. Third, it protects the cell from injury. Protects the cell from injury. चोट पटकहरु लाग्नु देखिनको सेललाई के गर्छ, प्रोटेक्ट गर्छ. फोर्थ मा चाहिँ it bounds the semi-fluid contents of the cell. So the contents inside the cell is semi-fluid. Semi-fluid means आधी पानी जस्तो हुन्छ. सो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि आधी पानी जस्तो हुन्छ र त्योलाई चाहिँ के गर्छ, बाइन्ड गरेर राख्छ. अनि at the starting of the plasma membrane को start मा मैले भनेको थिए plasma membrane is elastic and it is also flexible. So its flexibility enables the cell to engulf food and other particles into the cell, and this process is known as endocytosis. So के छ, flexible छ cell membrane or the plasma membrane. So if food is present outside the plasma membrane, it will engulf it. Okay, so this process is called endocytosis. When it engulfs food or any other particles, that process is called endocytosis, and this process is used by amoeba to acquire food. Amoeba uses this process to acquire food. Amoeba is a unicellular organism, so कुनै पनि उसको food acquire गर्नुको लागि यो endocytosis, it uses its plasma membrane and then engulfs the food. Okay, now the second structure, important structure that is present in the cell is cell wall. Okay, cell wall. Our cell wall it was first seen by Robert Hooke in 1665. Okay, cell wall was first seen by Robert Hooke in 1665. Okay, it is present only in the plant cell. Animal cell ma यो हुँदैन है, खाली plant cell मा हुन्छ, plant cell. So it is an additional protective wall present outside the cell membrane, the cell membrane. अघि मैले तपाईहरुलाई सेलको स्ट्रक्चर देखाएँ हैन. सेलको स्ट्रक्चर looks like this. This is the cell membrane. Okay, this is the cell membrane. This is the nucleus. And in between the nucleus and the cell membrane, this space is filled with a fluid, and that fluid is known as cytoplasm. Okay, cell को structure चाहिँ यस्तो हुन्छ. यो बीचको यो जुन चाहिँ छ सेल मेम्ब्रेन र यो न्यूक्लियस को बीचको जुन चाहिँ जग्गा त्यसमा चाहिँ एउटा फ्लुइड जस्तो पानी जस्तो चीज फिल गरेको हुन्छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ साइटोप्लाज्म भन्छ. अब प्लान्ट सेलमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ, इन एडिसन टु दिस सेल मेम्ब्रेन, यो आउटरमोस्ट जुन चाहिँ लेयर छ त्यो सेल मेम्ब्रेन हो, तर प्लान्ट सेलमा चाहिँ यो बाहिर पनि अझै एउटा लेयर हुन्छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी भन्छौं सेल वॉल. ओके, so it is present outside the cell membrane. Okay, it is thick and it is rigid, non-living. Cell membrane चाहिँ living हो, cell wall चाहिँ non-living permeable membrane. It is a non-living permeable membrane. Okay, and it is made up of cellulose. Okay, cellulose is a type of carbohydrate. जस्तै कार्बोहाइड्रेट को टाइप मा स्टार्च आउँछ, त्यसै गरी cellulose पनि it is a type of carbohydrate which makes up the cell wall. अब हेरौं सेल वॉल को काम चाहिँ के रहेछ त, प्लान्ट सेलमा मात्रै हुन्छ. सो यसले के गर्छ त, यसको काम के रहेछ त भन्दाखेरि के हुँदा रहेछ, functions of cell wall. So your outermost layer हो, so it protects cell membrane and internal structures of the cell. So cell भित्रको structure, cell membrane सबैलाई चाहिँ protect गर्छ the cell. Okay, since it is rigid, it provides rigidity and shape to the cell. Provides rigidity and shape to the cell. Okay, first one त्यति हो. Okay, second one, third one चाहिँ prevents drying of the cell. Prevents drying of the cell. Cell लाई सुक्नु दिदैन and helps it to bear unfavorable conditions. कोहीबेला पानी नभइराको हुन्छ, सो त्यस्तो अनफेभरेबल कन्डिसन्समा चाहिँ के गर्दैन, सेललाई चाहिँ सुक्नु दिदैन सेल मेम्ब्रेन सेल वलले, अनि त्यहाँदेखि it prevents the drying of the cell. Fourth function is it prevents entry of too much water into the cell. So यसको फाइदा के छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ this does not allow the cytoplasm to get diluted. So पानी बेसी छिर्यो भने cytoplasm dilute हुन्छ, water को concentration बेसी भएर, so त्यसलाई prevent गर्नको लागि it does not allow too much entry of too much water into the cell. Okay, now fifth मा चाहिँ it provides strength to the cell. कडा हुन्छ, रिजिड हुन्छ, सो त्यसले गर्दा स्ट्रेंथ दिन्छ. Sixth मा it protects against the pathogens. Protects the cell against the pathogens. Pathogens भनेको माइक्रोअर्गानिजम्स, ब्याक्टेरियाहरु जसले डिजीज कज गर्न सक्छ, प्लान्टलाई पनि डिजीजेसहरु लाग्छ, सो त्यसबाट चाहिँ सेल वलले प्रोटेक्ट गर्छ. र लास्ट फंक्सन चाहिँ it counteracts osmotic pressure. osmotic pressure लाई चाहिँ counter गरिदिन्छ भनेको चाहिँ osmotic pressure, if the osmotic pressure inside the cell becomes too much, cell भित्र चाहिँ osmotic pressure हुन्छ, if that becomes too much then the cell will rupture and the cell will die due to this osmotic shock, है. So cell लाई rupture हुन दिदैन किनभने cell wall ले बाहिरबाट जति osmotic pressure भित्र हुन्छ त्यति नै cell wall ले त्यति नै pressure दिन्छ. So it will maintain the balance अनि त्यहाँदेखि it will not allow the cell to rupture. Okay, so these are the functions of cell wall. Now let us move on to another structure that is present inside the cell, and that is known as cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm. Next is cytoplasm. Okay, so cytoplasm say it is jelly like fluid. Jelly like भनेको aloe vera जस्तो है, क्रीमहरु जस्तो jelly like fluid present between the cell membrane or the plasma membrane and nuclear membrane. Nucleus को बाहिरको जुन चाहिँ बाउन्ड्री छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन भन्छ. सो त्यो सेल मेम्ब्रेन र न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन को बीचमा एउटा फ्लुइड हुन्छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ भनिन्छ हामी साइटोप्लाज्म. साइटोप्लाज्ममा के हुँदो रहेछ भन्दा चाहिँ इट कन्टेन्स 90% water. It contains 90% water, 7% proteins, okay, 2% carbohydrates, excuse me, carbohydrates and lipids, and 1% inside the cytoplasm is inorganic substances. Inorganic substances भन्नाले carbon dioxide, water, minerals, vitamins, acids, bases, salts, यो चाहिँ सबै inorganic substances मा आउँछ. Okay, and inside the cytoplasm it contains many specialized structures of the cell. Okay, specialized structures of the cell, that is known as cell organelles of the cell, known as cell organelles. So यो cytoplasm भित्र चाहिँ अझै स्पेशल स्ट्रक्चर्सहरु, थुप्रो स्पेशल स्ट्रक्चर्सहरु हुन्छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी भन्छौं cell organelle. Each cell organelle has a distinct structure and it has a distinct function. Okay, specific function पनि हुन्छ त्यसको shape पनि, structure पनि different हुन्छ. So we'll talk about those cell organelles in the next class. I hope you are clear with whatever was taught today.